In this episode, I bring to you Rodrigo de Alvarenga. Rodrigo is board member, senior advisor, and mentor at different accelerators around the world, jury at MIT Innovators Under 35. He's been awarded the 10th edition of the Astor Prize. He founded Hack Ventures and invested in more than 25 startups in the US, EU, Latin America, and the MENA region. He's accelerated hundreds of startups and entrepreneurs worldwide and has been working with corporations and family-owned businesses as an expert. He is in the field of open innovation and business and digital transformation. He built the CVC and CVB business unit at The Bakery LATAM, a UK-based boutique specializing in open innovation. He's an international speaker, director of the Entrepreneurship Center at Porto Business School, co-founder of Accelerate Impact that we will talk about, and Thinker 360 has nominated him as the number 13 in the top 100 B2B thought leaders, analysts, and influencers you should work with in 2025 in Latin America. He ranked also among the top 50 global thought leaders in startup and entrepreneurship several times from 2021 to 2025, and ranked among the top 25 global thought leaders in open innovation and venture capital. I met Rodrigo working together as mentors at the European Innovation Academy. And in this episode, we talk about several very interesting things, touching more on the personal side of his journey. We talk about the meaning of language, how to be successful because of not having a plan, living spontaneously. We talk about Asperger's, we talk about caring about others with no expectations, and lastly, about closing the gap by moving into phase 4 of his life. Action. I hope you enjoy. I want to ask you right away, what is most alive in you these weeks?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me, Jorim. It's a pleasure to be here. As you said, we've been meeting at least once every year since 2017. Even during the pandemic, we end up doing things online together. So it's an absolute pleasure to be here. To your question, right now the three things that I'm paying attention, spending all my time in, is basically Hub Europe, which is our consulting services company in Europe, also focused on entrepreneurship and venture building services for corporates and programs for startups. We have done a lot of things last year, but this year started very well, and we are aiming for a much more relevant year in 2026. Accelerating Pact is a new company some friends and I have invested in, and we launched it last semester, aiming for specific programs focusing on startups that are for-profit, impact-driven globally. We're not like targeting any specific geography, and we are already launching actually today our first program in 2026. I was just hitting the button like half an hour before this meeting with you.
Mm-hmm.
And last but not least, these partners and I, we have been working on a fund. In the beginning last year, you know that because I told you about it. Last year, we had difficulties to actually put the time and bring all these partners together. But we end up figuring this out. We launched Accelerating Pact, and now we are also strategizing on the funds that we are aiming for first quarter 2026 to start investing. It may be out there sooner, but we have a very let's say conservative agenda.
Mm-hmm.
So we are planning for first quarter 2027. These are the three things that I'm investing all my time, all my energy, and all my attention into.
Great. And when you say that you're running programs for startups that aim on impact, what are the most interesting components that you could share with the audience now that are inside these programs?
Okay, so most of the let me just help the audience to understand the differences in between HUG Europe and Accelerate Impact. HUG is my own company. It's a consulting company. We work mostly with
Mhm,
corporations, and companies to deal with innovation governance, open innovation, and corporate venture capital, corporate venture building. Eventually, we also end up running programs that are somehow connected to this corporate world. So it is focused on the corporate world.
mhm,
Accelerate Impact is focused on founders and startups, for profit and impact driven at the same time, not just impacts, not just money, because actually, to one of the things that is extremely important for founders to realize, especially those working on the impact scene, is embedded in one of the learnings I had over my entire life. And something that you asked me before, and I basically um, summarized like impact is the end result of resilience and hard work. So to face a journey full of attempts, failures, and a series of very small wins along the way, this is my life story. And this is the life story of every entrepreneur, especially those focusing on impact. So impact is not happening tomorrow. It's not just because you launched your company. It's not just because you are working on a technology or a solution, a circular economy approach or whatever. Actually is after a long run, you have deployed your solution, whatever it is, and it worked, and bit by bit build up impact over time.
mm,
So embedded in this description, there is the need to survive.
right.
If you want to get to the impact you were aiming for, you need to survive the entire journey. And surviving requires a lot of different components that most entrepreneurs set aside when they start the journey, because it doesn't, these components do not look like very important in the beginning.
Mm,
So all the energy, even when they're fundraising, is focused on, okay, I need money to pay salaries, I need money to do this. That is actually true and will help. But the only the only goal at the end, if you're just aiming for impact, you're looking for paying the bills, right?
mm,
So you survive on a daily basis, and then perhaps you can get to the impact. To deliver impact, you need to be doing that on purpose. It
mm,
has to be like intentional. So you're gonna have to figure out, okay, it doesn't work if I only focus on my daily bills. It has to be a combination of an investment that is going to be providing return in a very long run. When you are a
right.
for-profit startup, you are looking for all the financials, projections, all the right stuff, but eventually there is no purpose there. Is it wrong? No, but that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for those who are actually, either they have realized that, or they know there is something missing and they're looking for help. So the combination of for profit and impact is the very and the most strongest combination possible out there, because you have a purpose that is actually helping you to be resilient and to get to the end of this journey, as well as with the practical stuff. I
Mm,
need to survive. That means I need money. Looking into money not as the value in itself, but as the utility it has
mm,
to build up this journey with you.
right.
Money can be a representation of any other kind of assets, inputs, people, access, or other things that you may need, right? So that is why we are focusing on for-profit, impact-driven
Mm,
programs that we're going to be working with are This one we just launched is what we call investor ready. So
Mm,
we're going to be working with startups. Spots are limited to help them be investor ready. Not the pitch deck, not the pitching demo, not the 3 minute speech, but the entire chain of events that a founder needs to
mm.
actually be prepared. It's
Wh-
about
wh- Wait a
preparing.
wait a
Sorry.
moment. So before you gave us this formula for impact,
Mhm.
and you said that that is something that you learned yourself with
Yeah.
time. How did you learn that? And can you give the formula again? Impact comes from.
Impacts come from basically of it is the end result of a long journey towards a purpose. And it comes from the fact that it's not going to happen on the short run.
Yeah.
Oh, I am launching this new technology, so I'm impacting the world. No, you are actually not doing anything yet. Your technology over time, if this technology is used and produce some results that are important and add value to whatever customer you are looking for, over time, it's going to build a change.
Mhm.
The impact equals transformation, is the delta that represents the change. It can also be negative. You can also be destroying things over time,
Right. Yeah.
right? For example, there are many technologies launched in the past that after years or decades, we end up realizing they were damaging our health.
Mhm.
The Teflon thing in the beginning, right?
Mhm.
Um, some cultural habits like smoking.
Right.
Nobody knew until we started learning about it. It took decades until governments and the industry kind of admit that, yeah, we are killing people. They're still out there, right? But it's a very long run creating, or in this case, destructive impact, right?
Mhm.
So impact can be negative, impact can be positive, impact can be basically something that is a different alternative for another option that does not add anything else. It's just like okay, it's like okay, if you buy a blue car or a red car, what does that matter?
Mhm.
Absolutely nothing, because the car is going to take you anywhere you want to go. It's just a preference, right? So we cannot claim impact out of the fact that it's me doing, so it is impact, right? Impact is there only if what you do adds an extra layer of value and help change the lives of your customers or the lives of the companies who use your technology or solution, whatever it is. And over time, this helps changes the customer you have, the companies or the people or whoever. So
Mhm.
it is the delta over time. It needs to accumulate, right? It's not about just human beings are very interesting because we have this infinite capacity of undermining the meaning of things, right?
Mm.
Purpose. Now, if you go to any social media, you're going to look for purpose. You're going to find all sorts of things. But if you actually look into all these things, you're going to see that 98% of them is crap.
Right.
Doesn't deliver anything. It is just like rephrasing or you know using the meaning in a wrong way, so we undermine the meaning of the words.
Mm.
One of the most, if not the most important achievement of our race, like the human beings, all of us, no matter where we are from, no matter color or whatever preference, doesn't matter, is the fact that we learn how to speak to
Mhm.
each other and to attribute meaning to what we speak to somebody else, right? If we destroy the meaning of all these words, we are destroying the thing that separates us from any other living being. Because it's like, even if let's say we are all muted from right now on. We will keep our intelligence, right? Yes. For how long? For how long will we be intelligent if we no longer can expose thoughts, share thoughts, argue, have discussions, learn from each other because we cannot explain anything to anyone?
Mm. Right. Yeah.
Our intelligence will diminish very fast, man. So
Yeah.
I am in love with the meaning of things in a way. So
Mhm.
back to how I learned all that, I can tell you, being the most stubborn person I've ever met since I was a very little boy. So I made another thing that you asked me. I failed so many times that um, comparing, right? I failed so many more times than I succeeded. And this took me a very long journey to start appreciating the failures. Not because it's good to fail, but because failing taught me more than succeeding.
Mm.
Succeeding in today's world is represented by being on stage and everybody clapping, and you are the best, the most, whatever, blah blah blah. This, of course, it's a recognition, and it is good to be recognized. I understand that. I like it, as anybody else, right?
Sure.
But that doesn't add anything. If we compare this to sports, like any sport person who competes on a professional level, they spend years preparing, and they have very few seconds on the podium, and just one, or let's say three of them will be there, and the efforts of everybody else will not even be seen, right? But actually, all this, many times somebody's not there, it is teaching them to grow, to be, to achieve more. It is not a competition in between I can be the fastest runner in the world. This in the Olympics, maybe, but on real life, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is, okay, how far can I go, even if I'm not going to be the winner.
Mm.
I'm gonna win anyway, because if I can go further than expected, I am the difference in between. Well, this is where everybody, or even preferably myself, expected me to be at the end. So I have made so many mistakes. I'm sure that I'm moving this bar
Mm.
miles ahead just because of my mistakes.
Right.
So that's, to me, the most important thing. And I had my father was a great figure in my life. He was at the same time a hero, and I had the most hard time handling him because we were, both of us, very stubborn.
Mm.
None of us wanted to be like played in any way, and I hated obeying just because. Right? I'm saying so. Give me a reason. Explain me why. What do I gain out of this? Right? Because I was so eager to learn that we had like this very hard time to get along to each other. So I practice many different sports on a competitive level during my, like, since I was very young all the way until almost 18, and several different sports, and I succeeded in all of them
Mm.
to everybody else's eyes, right? On behalf, like, if we think about people looking at the results, I was I get to a place where I was a champion in so many of these sports,
Wow.
local or regional or national. Um, but at the same time, people were looking at these wins as, oh, this is a very successful sport person in this sport, particular sport. And I succeeded in many of them. I was feeling like a failure because the very reason I was doing that was not because of anything else other than I wanted my father to recognize I was capable of doing stuff.
Right.
And I created another problem to myself because all the sports I practice, by the time I reached this, okay, I won a championship and my father was not there. And in most cases, he was not there because he was working or something, right? He was paying for all this. So took me some time to process and understand all this, but he was not there. I'm sure now that he would like to be there. But to me, was like, okay, that was not enough. So
Mm.
right after winning something very important, I quit all the sports I was practicing and moved to the next one and started from zero and did
So
it again and
so
did
you
it again.
you went to the highest level of one sport, and at that time you thought, okay, this is the best I can get in this level, in the sports, but he's still not coming. Maybe he comes with the other sport, and then you go up to the championship again, and then he's not showing
Yes,
up again, and then only later you realize it's because of other reasons.
yes. It took me years to realize that.
Mm.
But in during this journey, I was fighting myself, right? Because, okay, let me give you examples. I was a champion in martial arts, judo,
Mm.
state champion in judo when I was very little. And right after that, I quit and I moved to the next sport. Then I moved into swimming. I was also a champion on swimming. Although looking in like my size right now, I don't think I would have a very long career on that because, I'm very short person. But anyway,
Right.
so I got there and my father was not there. So I quit. I moved to the next thing. And I did this so many times.
Mm.
And I was angry kind of after some different sports because I was like, okay, what else can I do to call his attention, right? But on the same side, I was building up the skills that later came on handy because surpassing the like all the resilience you need to surpass starting from zero and moving up on something that you don't know in the first day you don't actually know anything and then you move all the way up until you get to okay, I won this championship, great. I never care about that. I never care about the titles. I never care about any of this. I was caring about seeing my father there recognizing me. But like if we look into the backstage of everything, I was putting in so much energy in learning new skills, learning new skills, learning new skills, surpassing challenges, surpassing like barriers, surpassing all sorts of things that this is embedded in my being.
Mm.
So to me, it may sound easier to say impact is the long run. So you're gonna fail miserably many times along this long run, but you're gonna have very small victories along the way, like the championships, but you can't stop on the championship
Mm.
because if I did that, I wouldn't have all the skills I have, at least the ones that derived from this experience. And I would be very frustrated until I realized that my father was not there because of completely different reasons, right? But when I realized that the difference in between Rodrigo in scenario number one, what happens, and Rodrigo in scenario number two, this alternative world would be immense.
Mm.
That's why I'm saying impact is the extra, the thing that it really transforms the possibilities by adding value.
So when you did the first sport and came to the state championship or whatever it was, that did not have a big impact. But doing 20 different sports over time, that had the impact of imprinting in you that resilience and this desire to stand up again and try again something new.
Yes, exactly. So applying this to life, when I stopped practicing sports and I end up, entering in the university, starting my real professional career, because I was already working before that. But anyway, what happens was dealing with the effort to succeed was actually not a problem. I had these skills developed, right? So um, I was never worried about this. I was much more worried about a different thing, right? I This is the second thing that I'm going to share here, and I guess I never share anywhere. I never had a plan, man. I never had a plan. I'm the oldest brother of three. My middle brother is like I admire him because he, first of all, he is a very structured person in terms of, okay, this is the future I want for me. This is what I want to do. This is how I get there. This is exactly the step by step, like, planning on how to actually achieve everything I want to achieve. He changed it when he was very young. He changed it like two, three times. The the career he wanted to pursue, but he had the plan, an entire plan from day zero to the end.
Wow.
He ended up close to one of these careers, not exactly the same career because life happens, right? But he did it. He put the plan into fruition, and he did it. I always admire this. Okay, you actually have a dream of who you want to be. I never had that, never ever. So I started the sports not because I was, I see myself being the best tennis player in the world, the best gymnastic,
Gymnast.
yeah, in the world, or the best judo, fighter in the world, the best swimmer. I never had this
Mm.
plans. I never cared about that. I actually didn't have any plan. My plan was, there were very few things that I cared a lot. Since I remember, and my mother remembers, I was always the first person to offer help to anybody I saw that seemed to me to be needing some help. Like my mother coming from the supermarket with bags, two heavy bags, or a stranger, old lady carrying something, whatever. I always had that. I always had, like, if I, for some reason, I see something that seems to me that is either broke or not performing the way it should, or some problem, whatever problem, I was like very fast moving into how to solve this. So could be a broken toy, could be a broken fence, could be um, somebody who looks like sad, because I used to see it like, this is a problem. There is a problem here. This person said something happened, right? So I always was very fast into perceiving things much earlier than anybody else and acting on, okay, what can I do? How can I solve this? And so these two together with the third one, which is like, I always loved building stuff. So whatever it was, my favorite toy when I was a kid was something called Henning. Henning Haas was a German version of Lego.
Mm.
And that was the word to me, because I actually learned by myself how to build up all sorts of different things using that, because it was the first time I could apply this building need, right? So these three things basically represent who I am nowadays. Of course, I have learned so many other things along the journey, so I kind of perfected that. But the learning that I had once an adult, and looking back and trying to figure out, like, the my entire journey was, I love complexity.
Mm.
So I know that most people look into something complex and they go desperate, because it's like, it looks like this is never going to be solved, etc. Try to picture this. When I look into something that is complex, it seems to me that I just start like some sort of a projection in front of me of that entire problem or universe, and my brain start depicting the parts into smaller parts, and reassembling and trying to reassembling the situation, the problem, whatever it is, into something that actually works. And it's like a more um let's say centered in being functioning properly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And without creating risks, or without creating like negative byproducts,
Mm-hmm.
any sort of negative byproducts. So it is very crazy to explain this, because it actually looks like, picture this image. So you look into something that's very complex, and in front of you appears this, you know, immediately appears this projection of uh like nowadays it's easy to see in movies when they have the
Right.
persons appearing in front of you, like they are not there, but they are there, right, talking to you. So imagine this, like the entire problem just being depicted into thousands of smaller parts, and then being reorganized, restructured in different ways, until you find not any option, but the best option. This is, I never explained this, never talked about it, but this is how my brain functions.
Mm.
So, and I can see underneath this three characteristics I had when I was very young. So I try to combine this with being a bit a bit autistic, plus having Asperger's syndrome. So I
Mm.
don't relate to people that well, in terms of like I don't make friendships easy. I don't connect on a personal level that easy with anybody. It took me a long time to. It take me a long time to actually connect on a personal level. But at the same time, I can care about somebody's problem more than someone who loves this person,
Mm. Yeah.
because I really care. I just cannot actually handle well the personal relationship part, but I can actually care and look into how can I love this person without being friends, right? How can I
Mm.
do something without being too close? This is I have fought this like very weird way of living since I was born. So somehow all this hard working things I have done, sports, solving problems, building stuff, dealing with complexity. So I was always like the little boy asking the whys, not the hows or the whats, but why? Why this
Yeah.
happens? Because unless you understand this, you cannot solve anything until you get to the why. Because the why actually shows you how to solve it. What are the things that actually need to be solved, right? And I cared about this too much. So
So
I am a pain in the ass because of it. My wife suffers a great deal, but she's expert in handling my special characteristics. But yeah,
you said that you've never had a plan,
never.
but you've had those three characteristics,
Yeah.
and now I'm wondering, um, first of all, since when are you aware of them, and second, how do you make decisions if you don't have a plan?
Well, I had three phases. I was aware of all this in a like let's say a less mature version, phase one. So I was ashamed of all this. So um I tried to disguise myself as someone who could be normal and very standard, right? Didn't work. Phase two, I started fighting with this myself, trying to, okay, how can I get rid of this characteristics, right? Um, that was more my young adult life, like when I got into the university. until I kind of finish up university and more or less 5 years, more or less. I was trying to fight these characters, trying to okay, what happens with it? Why don't I have a plan? Most everybody I know, even if they change the plans according to you know things that change in their lives, they still build up a plan. And I was I never built a plan ever, no matter what. And things happened to me in a very weird way. There is a story to explain that. In the very beginning, I was okay. I wanted to become an engineer. Although I wanted that all because of all these characteristics, I didn't have enough money to support myself to study engineering in Brazil. It was like a full day thing, mornings and afternoons, and I need to work at the time. So I needed a university degree that was like, okay, can I study at night? So at night, no engineering. So I moved into the very next thing. Back there, people used to move when they didn't know what to do, which was business.
Mm.
I found myself in business along the journey, but I did it to be practical. I need a degree. I need to pay my bills. So I need to work during the day. So I cannot do engineering. Let's move to the next option. Okay, business. And I was like, at the same time, I need to pay my bills. I need to do this. And I need enough money to do that. So, what is the job that pays enough for me to fulfill these needs, right? And I found a job that was working in the financial markets. I moved there. I entered a branch, a retail banking branch of a Brazilian bank back there, and talked to the branch manager and asked for a job. And I end up, you know, working there. And I started like the assistant of the assistant of the assistant of nobody. So I was making coffee, cleaning the bathroom, and doing anything anyone asked me to do. But it paid enough for me to pay the university, to pay my personal bills, and that was what I was looking for.
Mhm.
Moving forward, I had a girlfriend. She worked in international bank connected to the Mexican government. So they were working. She was working the representative office in Brazil,
Mm.
and there was this actually before this one in this branch. I was every day there, talking to customers in the balcony who were there asking for their statements, bank statements, and other paper things. And I was there to deliver this to them. There was one customer who was every day there. And one day he saw me reading the stock exchange information in the newspaper. And he asked me, "Oh, do you like this stuff?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Oh, I also like it. I invest in stocks." I said, "Oh, nice, interesting." So we started talking every day, like 5 minutes we spent talking about the stock exchange. One day I asked him, "Okay, since you like it, do you have money invested in products, investment products of this bank?" I told him, "In my bank, right? I work here, my bank. Do you invest money in my bank?" "No, why not? Nobody ever talked to me about that." Okay. Very next day, I was fully ready to talk with him about all the investment products that matched the criteria he used to invest. How? I spent the entire day reading about all products, all funds we had, all things we had focused on the stock market and on any kind of asset that was similar to those he mentioned to me. And the very next day, I was there ready to explain, hey, we have here this ones match your criteria. These ones are more or less there. These ones are work like this. The management fee is like this, blah, 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 blah. I gave it to him. I prepared something. I gave it to him. And then I asked again, would you consider investing here? And He just said, "Oh, thank you," and he left. More or less a month later, I was called to talk to the branch manager, and my thought was, "I'm gonna be fired. I made some whatever. I made a mistake. I don't know."
mm,
So I got there, and the guy asked me, "Okay, have you talked to this person?" That was the guy, right? The guy who
mm.
talked to me every day. Yes. Have you talked about with him about investments? Yes, I did. Why? Because this guy was here every day, blah blah blah. I explained the story, so how it happened, blah blah blah. And then the branch manager told me, okay, so from Monday on, you're going to be promoted to become a system manager, and you're going to take care of investments, all this stock exchange and investments that are related to this. And you're going to do exactly the same with every other customer we have.
Wow.
And by the way, let me tell you, do you know that the guy invested in our funds? I Nobody told me that. Do you know how much he invested? I have no idea. It was like millions.
Wow.
So I was like, what? And the guy told me, this is the first time ever we appeared as the number one branch because of these investments. So
Wow.
Monday, you're going to be here. You're going to repeat the process with every other customer. I said, yeah, okay. No plan.
Hmm,
Back to my girlfriend story.
hmm.
So after that, I had this meeting with, she had this dinner, internal dinner to celebrate the year, blah, blah, blah. You can invite your plus one. And I was the plus one of my girlfriend. I got there. And the guy who was the CEO of the bank and also the CEO in Brazil, right?
Mm,
And also at the same time, an official representative of Mexico government. He spent like some time talking to all plus ones to make all of them comfortable. So he was talking to me and said, "Oh, what do you do?" I said, "Oh, I work in this bank." And I asked him, "Okay, what do you do? How is your day job? How does it work?" He talked to me, explained things, etc. So during his explanation, he said something that we do business with banks in Brazil, blah blah blah. And then I asked, "Okay, do you do business with my bank?" No. Would you like to do business with my bank? Well, perhaps. What kind of business would you like to do with my bank? Well, we are looking for Brazilian banks to help us finance imports and exports from Mexico and to Mexico.
mm,
I say, okay, I actually had a very small idea of what that meant, but anyway, it doesn't matter. I asked him, okay, can you give me your business card? I'm gonna make sure by Monday the director in charge of this area in the bank will get in touch with you.
mm.
Got the card, got back to the bank on Monday morning, figure out who the hell is the director of this area. What area is this? Because I had any idea of that. I found out and I went there, different building, different address, went there, went to talk to the guy, knock on the door, and it was like lunchtime. The secretary was not there. So the guy said, come in. And I did. And then I looked in his eyes and I said, "Oh, my name is Rodrigo. I had a dinner with this person. Here's his business card. He's in charge of this bank in Brazil. He's looking for a Brazilian bank to do business with. He's looking for this. And I promised him that I would find out the person in charge and grab one business card to also send to him. Can you give me your business card, please?" And the guy gave me the business card and he was like stunned and looking at me and trying to figure out what the hell. I was 22 years old, man. And the guy gave me the business card and I thanked him and I left. I went all the way to the Mexican bank office and I took the card to the guy and I said, "Promise accomplished. Here's the business card. I told the guy, blah, 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 blah. So I hope you can get in touch and do business."
Hmm,
And I left, right? So a few weeks later, the director of the international division of the bank I was working for was talking to somebody when I interrupted, right? This somebody called me 3 weeks later, more or less, 3 or 4 weeks later. Rodrigo, yeah, here is X. Um, I'm oh, who the hell are you? I don't recall you. Oh, I was the guy in the meeting when you interrupted to the. Oh, okay. So I am the director of a team of people that I am building up right now in the corporate banking division inside the international division. And I was impressed by your posture and how you handle it. Would you like to work for me? And I said, okay, I am nobody. Whatever comes after international is much more than what I do right now. So of course,
Sure.
yeah, definitely yes. So that's how I end up in the international division in the corporate
Mhm.
banking. And up from there, I end up doing so many other things. These two
So
stories illustrate the fact that I never had the plan, but the
yeah.
fact that I cared, the fact that I was asking the questions, I was trying to understand the whys and what was missing and how could I help
Mhm.
actually guide my career on my behalf without
Yeah.
me thinking about a plan. And
Yeah.
this is happening since then until now.
Wow.
So if you ask me, oh, do you have a plan? Yes, we had a plan to launch this first accelerator program that we just launched it today. But this is not a plan, right? It's not a plan for a company.
Mm.
So I am like my career was built like this, and this took
Mhm.
me to become a board member in publicly traded companies, with annual sales of more than 1.5 billion, 40 more than 40,000 employees. The same way it took me to deliver an M&A transaction as an investment banker like around 1.5 billion dollars
Mm.
by myself in a in an international division of a bank that was a multinational bank, but didn't had an investment banking structure already in place. So I was, I found out the transaction and I made it happen, and that's it. So
Huh.
people, most of the time along my journey, they misunderstood me because I I had this successful career, but that was never based on this is what I want. I want to get.
Mhm.
It was always based on I'm gonna do my best. I'm not going to miss opportunities. I'm not going to miss transactions or opportunities to do the right thing just because we
Mhm.
don't have an investment bank department already in place, or because of you are 22 years old and you're gonna talk to the director of the international division. I don't fucking care. It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
I am making something happen. That is the focus, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that is. I guess you can understand me better by combining all the parts and pieces I have shared. Never
Absolutely.
that anywhere in the world. This is the first time.
Thank you. This is re- really a revelation for me. And if I put it in my own words, what I think I hear and understand is you are deeply curious and you just ask that question. You just show up.
Yeah,
You don't, and maybe that has to do with Asperger's of not caring as much about how other people might perceive you,
yeah,
and just saying, yeah, I'm just going to go to the CEO of the bank in Brazil, even though I'm just 22 and I'm the assistant of the assistant of the assistant. It doesn't matter.
yeah. But there is one thing that is interesting. The context that made me do it
Hmm.
was there. I was not doing because I wanted to be seen by the person.
Right.
I
You had
couldn't
a
care less
purpose.
about. I had a purpose. So I am sure, 100% sure. If you ask me back there, without a context, without a purpose, hey, if you go there and talk to this person, you're going to be singing, perhaps you can move your career up. I would never do that
Right.
ever because
And
that falls into you need to create some sort of a relationship. And I had so many difficulties in that particular box.
yeah.
So I am the wrong person to, you know, to establish personal relationships.
Mhm.
It takes me a long time to get there. And that's nothing wrong with everybody else. It's just how my brain functions. But if there is a purpose, I don't care. I can talk to the Trump or Obama, you know, just to exemplify. I can do whatever it's needed to deliver that purpose that I believe in.
Yeah, that's the stubbornness.
Yes. So um that is somehow it is contradictory, right? Because um people tend to see like if you can do that, you can talk to no, that depends. Is
Right.
there a purpose there? Is there
Yeah,
something we are accomplishing? Or is it just because I don't want to be seen, I don't care about that.
yeah,
I care about complexity being sorted out,
yeah.
problems being solved, uh, supporting and helping people, even though I may not like them or I may have difficulties to relate to them. But I can show love by caring, not necessarily by, you know, doing other things. So jokes, for example, I end up trying, but I'm such a bad joker. So it never works for me because I'm very bad and it's not natural. It is so unnatural that, it doesn't work.
Right.
You need to, if you get to know you, you're going to understand what are the things that you are very good at, what are the things that you are amazing at, what are the things that you are very so, what are the things that you are very bad, and the things that you are the worst. And you're going to start building up from the good parts, and you're going to try to contain the bad parts so you can actually add value,
Mhm. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's just that. And you have to recognize, until we recognize who we are and all our parts and pieces, we will never be in peace with ourselves and like feeling entitled to, okay, I know who I am. I actually understand the parts and pieces. I i understand the whys, why these parts and pieces are there, and I understand how to use them the best way possible, right?
Mm,
And then you do it. So for example, for a person like me, the least thing you can do to call my attention is trying to go for my ego, because it doesn't work. You have to bring a problem that needs to be solved. That
that's
is gonna
perfect.
definitely work.
You don't
It's
get
fun.
distracted.
Yes. So it is, if you understand this, for example, as a consultant, I have to be very careful, because if I go to a meeting and there is a problem, very especially if it's very complex, very, chances are that if I now I'm much more mature than in the past, right? So now I know how to handle it. But there was a time in a meeting that was not like a contract yet. If somebody brought a complex problem, I would solve it right away without being paid for it, because my passion for that was so big that I never cared. So I had to learn how to refrain myself to, or otherwise I would have to change careers, right? How can you be a consultant that delivers all the answers before signing the contract, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it all comes from making peace with who you are and all the parts and pieces, the things that are ugly and you don't like it, and the things that you love it, and spending more energy developing the parts and pieces that you are like that you are better, and the ones that you need. And this, because I have always heard like, okay, so if you're very good in music, if you spend your time learning this, you're going to become great. Okay, that may be true. However, you go, like, let's look into soccer players or football players, right? How many of these players come from poor countries and they end up losing their lives because they don't know how to handle what comes when they become successful?
Yeah.
So you need all the things. And because of practicing sports, not because I like them necessarily, but because I needed the way I saw it. And surpassing the challenges taught me, okay, there are things you need to learn in order to make the best use of your superpowers. So if you don't learn these things, you may have superpowers, but you're gonna fail anyway. So this will cost you time, energy, etc. But it's gonna be an investment because it's gonna highlight and take the most out of what you have, the best you have to offer.
Mhm.
So this is the effort most people don't pursue
Mm.
because it's an effort. It's not like a pleasure. It's not like oh, I'm gonna enjoy the ride. No, you're not going to enjoy the ride. It sucks. But you need to learn. You need to develop these other parts and pieces, these other skills and competences to actually create the framework you need to make the best use of what you do best.
Right. Yeah. This is great. I've taken personally a lot from what you've shared, and the stories were very vivid in my mind. I want to thank you for that.
Oh,
and
my pleasure.
and I wanna round off our conversation with asking a last question. So I named the podcast "Close the Gap" because that is what I apparently do when I talk to people, coach them, or mentor them. I help them close the gap. I help them get from idea to action rather than idea to idea to idea to overthinking to not doing anything. So I want to ask you, what is a gap you are closing in your own life at the moment?
That's I think that's a great question. So and it's very appropriate because all that I just shared illustrates that I'm right now, um, I would say that I'm moving into my fourth phase, perhaps, if I can phrase it like this, because I used this framework before, right? So I'm 52, so I am much more mature than any other age I had in the past, right? Hopefully. And the gap that I'm closing, I've been working on in the last 2, 3 years is exactly okay. So now I want to increase the impact because I have taken ownership of all this we discussed.
Mm,
I've learned how to handle each and every part and piece, but also I have been working on combining them and mastering myself in how to orchestrate all this, right? Now it's action time. So after the pandemic, it took me like I would say 22, 23, 24 to actually um, somehow absorb all this that I'm saying right now. 25, I started working on okay, next steps are going to be this, and I need partners, and I need why partners? Because I never had a partner ever,
mhm,
other than my wife. She is my partner for life, but I never had other partners. I always did it myself because either I had difficulties to help people understand what I was seeing and the reasons I would like to do something, right? Either because I was ahead of time or because I had too much more information available and a deeper understanding of something. So I was able to foresight what should be done, right? But not necessarily to communicate this to others in a way that they could buy in. I had difficulties with that. And I always face this question, okay, if they're not understanding, perhaps I should move forward myself because then
mm,
I had all the risk. I'm not exposing them to any risk or risks. And if it works, great. And then they can join. If it doesn't work, it's on me, right? But I've 2022, 3 and 4, I've learned about, okay, Rodrigo, you can impact more if you partner with the right people. So I had to work on this, all this orchestration part, plus how to handle my difficulties to relate to people.
mm,
And in 2025, I end up solving that. The partners I have in XI right now, they're people I've been working with over the years in different things. And they are very complementary to each other. We are very complementary to each other. Um, I would say that all of us are targeting the same goal to increase our impact. And also, I guess the timing finally was there. So we end up, figuring out this partnership, and this helped me in two different fronts, not just launching XI, but also myself into moving to the next phase 4, action, in terms of okay, now it's going to be like expanding and growing the impact. I have been, you know, that I have been doing things in different ecosystems around the world, but now I want to move it um, up to the next phase, that is to do it not more just more frequently, but also um, to go deeper into combining XI, Hug Europe, and the fund. Also, that means investing and structuring and supporting entrepreneurs, XI and the fund. And the corporate side comes in because the demand is there,
Hmm.
right? So that is what I need to like step up to orchestrate even better now, including some parts and pieces that I was somehow not paying that much attention, or avoiding for a while, right? To avoid dealing with some extra stuff. But that's done, and that's what we are doing now. So now it's going to be um, expanding our impact through the corporate world, to this founders world, and to through the investment world. That's what we're gonna, at least I'm gonna focusing on, and my partners are also focusing on that, especially through XI and the funds that we are orchestrating.
Great. Wow. Um, Sounds really exciting. I am cheering for you and XI and the team, and I hope I can learn more about that when we see each other next. For now, I want to thank you so much for being here, for sharing, for opening up, for being willing to tell things that you haven't said before, and um, it's been a pleasure having you on.
Oh man, my pleasure. Great to see you again. And I love the name you're using on your podcast, because the gap is exactly the thing that takes a lot of energy, effort, and intention.
Right.
You need to be intentional, not just intention, because intention can be I wanted but I haven't done it. So intentional means I'm gonna do it intentionally, because the gaps are where you can grow the most, and not just because you're gonna learn stuff, but because you're gonna be better prepared by passing through the gap, and rising on the other side. You're gonna be better prepared to, and better structured to orchestrate yourself.
That's
So
right.
if your audience can pull this through in their lives, that means their professional, personal, and everything else lives, they are gonna reach out to the next level, and that is exactly what bridging the gap can mean, right? So congrats on that. It was a
Thank you.
pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for the invitation. Look forward to see you soon, man.
All right. Thank you.